Hello, family. It's your very own Odera bringing you high protein sardines with sweet potatoes. This is a recipe that I came up with when I was doing the elimination diet. I'll put a link, somewhere to explain what the elimination diet is about. It's a good experience if you're interested in doing it. That lets you know what your food intolerances might be. But in that process, you really have to restrict what you eat. And I was kind of going crazy because I didn't really know what I could eat. But I came up with this, and I really like it. It's a bit of work. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, but it's worth it. I think it's a really nice meal. So without further ado, let me tell you what you will need to make high protein sardines with sweet potatoes. You're gonna need some olive oil, a sweet potato, some swai fish, garlic salt, a can of sardines, coconut milk, and salt. You're also going to need a large mixing bowl and a baking pan sheet tin thing and a food processor, a 1/4 cup measuring cup, a 1/4 teaspoon, a knife, and a cutting board. Alright, so first things first, we're gonna cut our sweet potato. So the way I do this, we're basically going to be making, sweet potato wedges. If you want to make sweet potato fries, this is not the recipe for that. I'll just say that. This is not the recipe for that. We're making sweet potato wedges. You could do sweet potato rounds. That would make the cutting process much easier. As you can see, I'm kind of struggling, not just with the camera focus, but also with cutting this sweet potato down the middle. So, do whatever you want, but I would just suggest either doing sweet potato rounds or wedges. And I'm obviously doing the wedges, so I have to cut lengthwise first. Then I'm going to cut each half, sequentially. Now that that's over and done with, I'm going to get to slicing the sweet potato. So in terms of thickness, I know most people have like an actual length. I think what I ended up doing was like a 1/4 inch. But I don't actually, measure these things. What you want is, how would I even explain it? I would say you want to go a little thick. And ultimately, it depends on what you like. But I think I went roughly the size of my pinky, and my pinky is pretty small, I think. Maybe a little bit smaller than my pinky. But yeah, you know what? Let me actually think. I think you really just want a 1/4 inch, and maybe that would be a good rubric, because I don't want to give you guys a vague length and then it comes out a little too thick than you'd like, or a little bit too thin. It does shrink a little bit, I think, through baking, but not by much. And the reason why I like making it kind of thick is because the way I bake it, ideally, the way it should come out is that the outside is crisp a little, and the inside is still soft and mushy. So you want it thick enough for there to be an outside and an inside, but I guess you don't want it so thick that it's mostly just mushy, and you're kind of getting like roasted potatoes instead of like, a potato wedge that's almost mimicking a fry. I definitely was going for something like the feel of a fry, even though it looked significantly different. And this is not going to be like a restaurant sweet potato fry. This is not what we're doing, but we're doing our best, okay? So after cutting the sweet potato, you're going to transfer it to a mixing bowl, and to that mixing bowl you're going to add some olive oil, about a quarter cup of olive oil should do the trick. You could add more, you know what I'm saying, if you want to. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. You could add more if you want to, but you know, I try to limit the amount of oil I use in recipes like this because it can go really crazy. I mean, you could really just, when I make this for myself, I just kind of drizzle it on, you know what I mean? But I try to be mindful, and even when you drizzle it on, most of it just falls to the bottom anyway. Regardless, after you put in the olive oil, you want to just, you know, sprinkle some salt. I didn't really measure it. You just want to eyeball it. I know that's kind of hard, but you know, over time you'll figure out how much salt you should use. One thing I will say is that I've made this same, or rather I've roasted regular potatoes, like russet potatoes, the same way, and they needed a lot less salt, was it? They either, well, I can't even remember now. They either needed a lot less salt or a lot more salt, but I think they needed a lot less salt, and I was kind of surprised by that. So if you're used to roasting russet potatoes and you're new to roasting sweet potatoes, just know that the salt requirements are pretty different, significantly different. So yeah, you're just gonna sprinkle some salt, just enough so that every, you know, the surface area is like decently covered, not saturated, but decently covered, and then mix it all together. I definitely like mixing with my hands and using my hands in the kitchen as much as I can, but if you want to be more sanitary or whatever, you can, you know, use a ladle or something, I guess, and you know, add more salt as needed. You know me, I like too much salt. It is what it is. Next up, we're going to place our sweet potato on the baking sheet. Most times when I do this recipe, all the sweet potatoes fit in the tray, like fit on the tray without any overlap, and you don't want any overlap. When you're doing bacon, when you're roasting, never have overlap, okay? Like never, it never works out well. Most times when I do this recipe, I can get everything in one go if I'm using like a regular size sweet potato, but every now and then I might have some, you know, some extra wedges that are just kind of left behind, and then I have to do a second round. I will say that these take a very, very long time to bake. So if you're going to, you know, do this recipe, don't start when you're hungry. If you're hungry, just do a different recipe, because it's going to take an excruciatingly long amount of time before, you know, you can actually get to eating. So anyway, the point of this clip is you wanna place everything, you know, so that they're not overlapping. That's really the point. All right, now that that's done, we're gonna put this in the oven. So oh yeah, you should have preheated to 425 degrees. Sorry for not mentioning that sooner. Anyway, as you can see, it's 5:58 right now, and my oven's already at 425, as you just saw. So yeah, let's see how long this takes. I think it's gonna take quite some time, but we'll see. We'll see. No expectations. Okay, so it's 20 minutes later, and we're gonna check on the wedges, because what we're looking for is significant browning on one side. Now, please hear me when I say significant. One issue that I constantly run into with this recipe, even though I like it so much, is that, you know, I always take it out too early. I always do, and as you can see, I'm doing the first couple of flips, and they're not significantly browned. If you flip it and the bottom side, which you'll see very soon, looks just like the top, you see that? That's not okay. That's not okay. And it's soft on the bottom, that's not okay. Put it back in, relax. You will get to eat soon enough. Put it back in. I hope that's what I do here. I hope that's what I do here, because this is not, yes, you see, flip it back. It's not okay. It needs to be significant. Wait, am I really? wow. Oh, wow. Oh, this isn't going to end well. Okay, well, listen. You're supposed to wait until it's significantly browned. You need to see a little bit of char before you do the first flip. And that could take like 40 minutes, okay? But let's fast forward. Okay, so we put them back in the oven after completely flipping, which, you know, I don't think I should have done it so early. Now it's 6:44, right? Okay, it's 6:44, which means they've been in there for like, you know, 25 minutes, 26 minutes roughly. This is what it's looking like from the outside. And once we get into it, once we pull it out and really get into it, we'll see if they're charred or not. Because I'm telling you, if it's not charred, it is not ready. Period. Period. There we go. Now we're seeing some color. Now we're seeing some color. Like, I still do not stand by that first flip that I did. I don't think I should have done it. Because I ended up flipping everything over, and you really just need to wait and be patient. It worked out for me here, and that's great for YouTube. But I've made this recipe so many times. I actually stopped making this recipe because it's just so long, but it tastes really great when you do it. I don't know, I really like this recipe when I have the time and my oven's cooperating and all that. Yeah, you want that char. You want that char, and I'm telling you, you will be happy that you waited for the char. Otherwise, you're just kind of getting mashed sweet potatoes, you know? And if that's what you want, no judgment from me. I'm just saying that's not what I was going for. So this is what they're looking like. And one thing I'm going to do here, which I highly recommend with this recipe, is if you see some of the wedges are like, you know, they're on the verge of burning, which is a very fine line with this recipe. Take them out because they're going to burn if you leave them in. What I end up doing is I take out the little slices that I feel like, you know, are threatening to char all the way. And I take them aside, and then I let the rest of them just kind of cook further, and so that I can get browning on both sides. That's really what you want. That way you'll have a I wouldn't say crispy, but like a textured outer coating to the sweet potato. Anyway, it is 6:47. We're putting it back in. Let's see how long it takes before this batch is done. This is definitely going to be the last time that we put them in the oven. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But let's see. Okay, so it's 6:53, and we're going to take them out. And right now, we're at a very delicate place with these sweet potatoes because they could burn, or they could just char a little, which is what we want. We want some tan. We don't want skin cancer. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. And as I flip, you'll see that we didn't get the char that we want. Why? Because we didn't wait long enough the first time around. And that's just what it is with this recipe. Patience is key. Patience will take you to the finish line. All right. I think there were probably like maybe 5 wedges that I could have taken out at this step. But, you know, the vast majority of them were still soft, and that's not what I want. I want to make sure that we have like a KFC quality potato wedge, you know, minus the deep frying and the breading and whatever else they do to those poor potatoes. So, you know, it's a lesson to be learned. It's definitely a lesson to be learned. I'm not even sure why I'm doing this because I feel like they brown on the edge that's like on the metal. So I'm not really sure what I'm doing here, but yeah, there's a burnt piece. I guess I just wanted to show you guys what could happen. Anyway, bear with me, okay? I'm telling you, this recipe is actually kind of worth it. This recipe is worth it when it's not so high maintenance, you know? But it's definitely delicious, and if you happen to be doing the elimination diet, then, you know, you could eat this, you know? and tell me how you guys like it if you do end up making it, if you have the patience. Okay, now it's 7:04, and I believe we're taking out the wedges. And again, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what's going on at this point. I think I may have lost some footage, but it looks like they're browned on both sides, roughly. But again, you know, you just can't beat the system. That bottom side that should have been browned the first time around is still kind of lagging behind. And I don't know why this recipe is like this, but moral of the story, throw that burnt piece away, okay? Moral of the story is you want to make sure that you brown the wedges the first time. Do not flip it if it's not browned, because it will haunt you for the rest of the meal, okay? Just wait till it's browned the first time, then you flip, and once you flip it, it won't take that long for the second side to brown, you know, and it's all good from there. Anyway, we have to put that behind us. We have to move on because there's still dip. There's still dip to be made and to be eaten. So we're gonna get 1 fillet of swai. This is, I think, usually like anywhere from 2 to 4 ounces. Whatever, just get 1 fillet. You could also do this with tilapia. I've done it with tilapia. Still tastes good. If I was using tilapia, I'd probably use 2 fillets, which I think is roughly like 4 ounces, 4 to 8 ounces, or more like 4 ounces. So we're gonna bake it on 425 for however long it takes. Swai doesn't take very long to cook, so it might just take us 10 minutes. We'll see. We're starting at 708. We'll see how it is, you know, how long it takes when it's all done. So clearly saying 10 minutes was a grand stretch. This seemed to have taken 26 minutes. But who's counting? You know, we've already waited like an hour for the potatoes. Who's really counting? This is what you want your swai to look like when it's done. You know, just kind of done. You know what I mean? You could do the flake test. This is what I usually do. And it should flake up when you pierce it, which I think we'll be seeing very soon. Yes, no, yes, no, no. Wow. Okay, let's just, okay. Okay, here we're gonna flake, and the swai is kind of sticking to the sweet potato juice or leftover remnants. Not a huge deal, you know, I didn't want to waste parchment paper. But yeah, as you can see from this terrible footage, the swai is cooked. I just need to prove it to you guys. So now that we know the swai is cooked, we're gonna throw it into the food processor, and with it, we're gonna put in a little bit of coconut milk. Again, you know, the details are in the the description box, because I definitely don't remember at this point. We're gonna put a little bit of coconut milk. We're gonna put in the swai. We're gonna put in the sardines. Sardines are good for you, if you didn't know. I know some people think that they're gross. I don't know why. I grew up eating sardines, and I'm very grateful for it. They have omega-3s, which is what you need to be healthy. That all rhymed, because I'm coolie. Anyway, yeah, you need sardines. They're good for you. Coconut milk, I don't know if it's really like good or bad for you. I think it's just, you know, neutral. I really have no idea. Swai is also neutral too, although I've heard some things about the mercury content in them. And just use enough garlic salt to season. And then we're gonna blend it all up in no time. Blend. Okay, so we're going for like a paste. I guess if you want something more liquidy, you could add a bit of, what would I add? A bit more coconut milk. If you want something more liquidy, I guess you could even just add straight water. I don't know if chicken broth would be the best thing here, but yeah, that's if you want it more liquidy. This is definitely going to come out more like a paste though. A thicker type of dip than regular dip. And yeah, plate it. Honestly, that dip could be used on toast if you really want to do that, which I think is a great idea. And check that out. Check that out. You see how that sweet potato can handle the dip? You see that? It didn't fall. It didn't break. I'm telling you, the recipe is worth it if you have the patience, for real. So here's the price per meal breakdown. Here's the nutrition facts. Tell me if you made the recipe. Tell me how much it tested your patience. And let me know what kind of day you're having. I hope it's a good one. And comment, like, share, subscribe. Definitely subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye!